Hello, my name is Ashutosh Kulkarni. I have secured 44th rank in this year's civil service examination, and I'm here to talk about my general strategy for preparation for the civil service examination. I hail originally from Pune, and my educational qualification is that I'm a mechanical engineer and I'm also a Master of Arts in History. And this was my fourth attempt. I've been trying since 2016, and this year I got success and I got the 44th rank. So we'll be discussing about the general preparation strategy that we have for the civil service examination. So as we know, we have prelims, mains and interview. So I will primarily be talking about all these three phases. In the prelims part, I'll come later on, but my general strategy, if you are going to start your preparation now and you will be attempting your civil service examination next year, we'll have about 10 to 12 months before the next prelim. This year has been a very exception, is the prelims is in October, but next year I'm assuming that the prelims will be sometime in July. So if you're starting, if you have started say since June or July, you have about 10 to 12 months till the next prelims. So the general strategy for preparation is that you should have about 6 to 7 months for optionals. Sometimes some optionals are quite heavy, so they take about 8 months, and about 3 months for prelims. So about 10, the sum addition should be about 10 months, and then the next 2 months should be kept for the dedicated preparation for prelims. So first 10 months should be for mains, and then about 2 months for the prelims. That should be the general strategy. If we talk about the study pattern in GS, in the mains pattern, we have GS 1, 2, 3, 4. Various subjects are being split into those four papers. The general preparation strategy is that these are general studies. There is a reason why UPSC calls it general studies, because you are expected to have general knowledge about it, some graduation level knowledge, while the optional paper that you give, generally it is post graduation level knowledge which is expected. In general studies, you will find that the topics themselves are so varied that often the study is quite multi-ranging. So I'll first start with the sources that I used, and then we'll see the preparation strategy. If you see for GS1, we have history, geography and sociology. For history, essentially all the old NCRTs, R.S. Sharma for ancient, Satish Chandra for medieval and Bipin Chandra for modern. 11th standard fine arts NCRT will also be fine. So these 3-4 NCRTs will be enough for you to tackle those 6-7 questions for history. For geography, you have 11th and 12th standard NCRT and GC Leong. That will be enough for it. For sociology, I suggest that there are notes of BA IGNOU, BA Sociology notes for IGNOU. They are available on internet. Look at the topic in the syllabus, and from that syllabus topic, open that specific PDF in the notes and do that specific topic. All the notes are not to be read, only syllabus based topics are to be read. For GS2, the major parts are three. One is polity, one is foreign policy, and there is developmental governance. Foreign policy and developmental governance will be done through current affairs. There can be many class standard notes which can be used for developmental governance specifically. For polity, the most important part is the Lakshmikant. So Lakshmikant is the basis for all the polity study, and you can also refer to our constitution by Subhash Kashyap. For GS3, we have mainly current affairs, but the basics can be referred by any standard notes. There are many coaching classes which have their standard notes ready for GS3. You can prepare that for the static part, but for economy, agronomy, disaster management, science and tech, environment, everywhere you will have current affairs. So any current affairs magazine or the standard books that we have can be used. Like for example, for environment, you can use Shankar IS. They have a very good book on that. For economy, the basic part can be done through Datta Sundaram. So there are many sources, and for GS3 specifically, internet becomes a very big source because there is a lot of things available. So you can just look up for that particular syllabus point and search for it on the internet and prepare your notes. For GS4, I have referred to lexicon and referring to the solved question papers of previous year toppers. Many coaching institutes upload them. They can give you a very good background of how answers are expected in GS4. If you look at the general preparation strategy, I'll always suggest to create notes, because notes are something very, very critical for UPSC preparation. The logic is that if you sweat more in peace, you will bleed less in war. You read 2-3 books for a single topic, then you have underlined under everything, and before the exam you will have a stack of books ready, and they will just give you tension and pressure because you will just waste your time in turning pages. That will be inefficient study. So in that case, preparation of notes becomes very, very essential. I personally prefer electronic notes for 2-3 reasons. They are easy to carry because they are not heavy. You are not writing it down. They don't get old. So you are going to prepare these notes for the next 2, 3, 4 tries. Those paper get torn apart. They become old. Electronics notes don't become old. They are stored on the cloud, so they are easily accessible, and they are very easy to edit, because if I get to know something about that thing 10 days later, in a written note I have to just have an arrow and then I'll say, okay, this is the new thing. In electronic notes I can just edit it immediately in the Word file. So I suggest to have electronic notes, sync them on the cloud, and you can access them from your mobile, tab, laptop, everything. Those notes should be crisp enough. So 1:10 ratio is what I say. So if you're reading a book of 100 pages, the note should be of 10 pages only. Crisp bullet points which you can read, memorize and expand in the exam. So that is the general strategy. So till 2 months prior to the prelims, ensure that you finish your GS and optional very good. Notes should be ready, and after the prelims it should be only revision and answer writing. That's the basic strategy that I always suggest for the mains preparation. Specifically for answer writing, you will always have many test series. You are quite expert in the market, so there are many test series. Have one good test series for essay, GS and optional. Not necessarily everybody should be from the same coaching institute. Look at who are the experts in that and you can enroll for that test series. Ensure you write about 6 to 10 essays before your mains. Now we are talking of the period in between prelims and mains. So in that time, ensure that you write about 6 to 10 essays and get them checked properly. Same goes for the GS test series. Ensure that you at least write 3 full portion tests for GS 1, 2, 3, 4 each. And then of course for optional also, ensure you write at least 3 full portion papers. Get them checked, look at their solutions. You will find a lot of new things, and ensure that the answer writing skills get sharpened up. Whenever we write answers, the basic thing is there: introduction, body, conclusion. Everybody knows that. There should be a good introduction, short one. There should be the main body. If it's a critical analysis, all the sides should be analyzed, and then you should be decisive enough to give your conclusion that, okay, this is what I feel. So that is the general body for answer writing. So these are certain techniques that you will be knowing. Now there is no full-fledged all fit approach for answer writing. You will have your own style of writing. Ensure that you be crisp, write in bullet points, and you will slowly develop your own strategy for answer writing. And getting that checked and getting suggestions on it is very important. So that is the basic answer writing strategy that I will suggest. If I am asked, you have done 4 attempts, so what did you not do in the 3 attempts and what you did in the 4th attempt that made you clear? Now, to be frank, this entire process is so competition driven that often there are many factors that come into play. So it is very difficult to gauge as to what I did in the 3 attempts I did not do and do in the 4th attempt. That answer is very difficult to give. The point is that you should be continuously improving onto yourself. It is a process. It is not that one attempt you don't know anything and the next attempt you know everything. It's not going to happen like that. In every attempt, when you give the prelims, first of all, my best wish is that you clear in the first attempt itself. It's not like everybody will go to the 3rd and 4th attempt. But if you do go, you'll realize that every year you give an exam, mains, and then you get your marks, and you realize that the questions are varying. Often UPSC asks questions which are very generic in nature in GS, and you often have to give very specific answers, so that becomes a difficult task. So this time what I did was, I decided to mark the keywords. Okay, these are the keywords in the question, and give the headings in that answer based on those keywords. So let the examiner know that you are writing what he wants. Let him know that you have understood the question and you are continuously focusing on the keywords that are there in the question. The second thing that I did was very good revision. Now this was my strategy since first attempt, but ensure that you have at least 3 full revisions of GS and optional before you go for the mains, because the time is less. You have to write more than 3000 words in like 3 hours, and you have to ensure that your brain just floods you with information when you see that question, because you have to start writing, you have less time. So ensure that you have 3 revisions compulsory, and as I told you, write good answers in the test series so that you will get a hang of the stuff. Time management becomes very necessary. You will realize that in 3 hours you have to write 20 questions, which is too much. So you have to ensure that your hand and mind coordination is very good, and all of this will happen only when you write the answers. So there are certain new things that I did do. I just said that, okay, if I had bullet points, rather than just giving a dash for a bullet point, I'll say, okay, I'll just write 1, 2, 3, 4. Small changes, but presentation wise the changes improved. I improved on any pictorial representation in the answer. Not necessary that every answer should have some diagram or some map or anything, no. But 1 or 2 answers here and there, a good diagram, a good map, it is a welcome change for the examiner, because he is also continuously reading and we don't have some great handwriting everywhere. So it's better to have some diagrams given in the answer sheet. It's a welcome change for the examiner. rather than being tired of reading stuff. He'll just be looking at the diagram and he'll understand that okay, you have understood what you are writing, and maybe he'll give you half a mark extra also for that. So ensure that such creative things are introduced in the answers, but don't be too creative. UPSC requires certain specific keywords, certain basic concepts to be there in the answer sheet. You have to focus on that also. So these are some of the general strategies that are used for the mains examination. If I have to ask about do's and don'ts, the first one is keep limited resources. What happens is we go on the internet and we get 10 books from 10 people, and that's not how it is. The crux for UPSC is limited resources but repeated revisions. You have to ensure that you revise those books again and again, because I told you, you have to remember stuff from history, polity, foreign policy, economics. It's like all different subjects. If you want your brain to give you the right information while writing in the exam, it's more about limited resources but continuous revision. The biggest mistake that the candidates do is they read too much. They continue reading it like 1 month prior to exam, and now they suddenly realize that they don't remember anything and there is no time for revision, and that screws up the entire attempt. So limited resources but repeated revisions is one thing. The one do which I will always say is prepare notes. There is no alternative to notes. So ensure that you have your own notes in your own language, and if at all, if you are lucky that that same question comes in the exam, your brain will literally tell you that okay, this is the thing that I prepared, and literally you will just end up copying the same stuff from your notes into the answer paper, and you will get good marks in that. So that's why notes are very, very important. Don'ts, the first thing I'll say is don't leave the process midway. Ensure that you have a very good motivation of why you are doing this. Most people have time as the motivation, because when we are doing our graduations, our exams are like 1 month or something, and time becomes our motivating factor, like 15 days more, 20 days more, and it's over. In UPSC, time cannot be a motivation. You have to study for entire year long, and most of the people, their minds are not in that condition that they will just have a monotonous schedule, get up and do studies and sleep. So ensure that you have a good motivation. Most people start in June, July, they'll pay good fees to their coaching classes and everything, and by Diwali, by September, October, everything just flops. Their interest goes away in studying and they just do time pass. So a clear motivation, know why you are here, have a clear motivation, train your mind that you have to be in this process for a few years and you have to struggle. That will ensure that you will patiently do stuff and not get irritated by this process. If you go for the interview stuff, I have appeared for 3 interviews. All the 3 were varying interviews. So that will tell you that interview is an unpredictable thing. You never know from where the panel will start asking questions. In my first interview in 2017, I had questions asked on mechanical engineering, because that's my graduation. They focused too much on mechanical and very less stuff on any other stuff. In my second interview, it was more on current affairs. So no mechanical, no history optional, nothing. It was on current affairs. They all asked the news that were there going on. And this time, in the interview that happened a few days ago, it was all on history. They saw that I have done Master of Arts, my optional is history. So they went on history. So it depends on what the panel is thinking after looking at your form. So ensure that while you are preparing for the interview, you prepare on every small word that is there in your detailed application form, right from where you hail from, your educational qualification, your subjects, your employment background, your hobbies, interests, everything is a possible question, and it can be linked to some current affairs. So while preparing for the interview, start a new note, and in that note ensure that you have possible questions taken down on all the possible things that can be asked to you from your form. And then of course there are current affairs on which you should have an opinion on it. So in interview, they ask 2 types of questions, either fact-based or opinion-based. You can say no for a fact-based because you are not expected to know everything under the sun. But when it is an opinion-based question, you cannot say no, because as an officer, you are expected to have an opinion on the stuff around you. So in those cases, ensure that you have an opinion. Be forthright in your opinion. Of course, we cannot have extreme opinions, but be forthright on what you think. Don't try to be diplomatic, be direct, and say it clearly that okay, this is my opinion, and ensure that you have good arguments in favor of your opinion. So generally these are the do's and don'ts for the interview. Giving mocks for interview is extremely necessary. When you start practicing for the interview, you'll find that after the mains, enroll yourself in some interview program. Don't bother about interview before the mains, because interview is not a rigorous process, as in you don't need to study for 8-10 hours a day like you have for mains. So you can have a good amount of time after you do your mains. So in that, there are many programs that are there for interview preparation. You can enroll for that. give at least 3 to 4 mocks prior to the actual interview. It will help you in simulation of the actual conditions. You may be very good in your academic knowledge, but how you deliver in that interview is also very, very important. So that is very, very necessary. But the entire preparation for interview will start after the mains. Don't bother yourself about the interview if you are starting your preparation now. So that is a later stage. Do we have to be secluded while preparation? This is again a myth. You have to control yourself, yes, but there is no seclusion as such. I continue to meet my friends. I had to attend some family functions. Everything is done, but provided that you are also able to control it. Meeting friends doesn't mean I'll go and meet them every evening. Once in a while, once in 10 days is fine, because that's also a relaxation that you have require. But ensure that you keep a tab on the people coming at your place or the disturbances that are there around you. It is very, very necessary that you spare about 8 to 10 hours a day for your study. That is very critical, and without that there is no shortcut to success. So there is no crash course for UPSC. You have to study dedicatedly for a year. Only then you can be in a very comfortable position where you can say that, okay, my studies are over. Now I can properly attempt the exam and take a chance there. So don't be secluded as such. But then I will also request you to keep a tab on who people are coming, whom are you meeting, and what time you are wasting. Is coaching necessary? I'll say yes. Because the exam is so varied that often coaching becomes necessary. Where to take a coaching can be a matter of choice. Now you don't need to directly come to Delhi or any other place, because since after the COVID lockdown, there are so many coaching institutions that have shifted online. You can take advantage of that. There are so many free materials that are available on the internet which you can use for your coaching. So it's not always that, so the question of affordability is also there. I can understand that many candidates may not be able to afford that training. So in that case, there are many free materials that are available online. There are many forums where things are shared. There are Telegram groups, you can get yourself added in that. And ensure that internet is there at your disposal. It can become a very good medium of your own coaching. There are so many test series and everything which are also done online. So please avail coaching if it is possible for you, but there is no need for your physical presence in that coaching institution. After like this year, after the lockdown, there are so many options available online. So please think about those online options also. And what was my study schedule? I'll say that I had to have about 8 to 9 hours study a day. Apart from that, 1.5 hours reserved for newspaper reading and about 2 hours for the coaching where I went for. And then a little bit of 4 to 5 hours because you need to tidy yourself up, lunch, dinner and everything. But ensure that you have at least 8 to 10 hours for study every day apart from the coaching that you go. So ensure that there is some very good amount of time that you spend there. And overall my advice will be that be dedicated, be motivated. There is no shortcut to success. Ensure that you give all your attention to this, because you have spent your money, you carry the expectations of your parents and your friends, everybody. Ensure that you don't do time pass. Be dedicated, be motivated, and don't waste your time during the entire study. If you are giving 2 attempts, 3 attempts, give them full time. But after the age of 25, I will also suggest that find some part-time job, because after the age of 25, your career should also begin. So have some part-time job and do prepare for UPSC as a part-time thing. But for the first 2-3 attempts, give them full dedicated attempts. Ensure that after the age of 27, you also look up for other things in your life, because UPSC is not life. There are things beyond it. So settling down, taking care of your aging parents, many things will take precedence after you cross the age of 27. So ensure that in what stage you are, what stage of preparation and what age of life you are. Take the right decision there, and best of luck everybody. Thank you very much.